All right. Well, welcome everyone to our morning devotions. I trust everybody had a pleasant night's rest. Again, you can see it's sunny here in the mountains of southwestern Virginia, and it's a little cool out, but it is November. And but just want to welcome everyone. And it's amazing what the Lord's doing with this and the support we're getting. So we just pray that the Lord will continue to use our morning devotions. We're at episode 118, if you can believe that. 118. We got a ways to go to get through all the Bible. It's especially going to be long because this is chapter 3 and I'm doing 2, which is the first time I've done this. I've skipped chapters, but I've never done 2 devotions on the same chapter because I didn't want to miss this one. I wanted to hit the first judge, which is Othniel, and the second judge here is Ehud. And this is just a remarkable story. And what happens is on this roller coaster ride that is the book of Judges, the Israelis fall into sin again, and an invading army comes, and the invaders here is the nation of Moab, and these are the descendants of Esau. So they're going after the Israelis. And how long does it say here? If I look in verse 12, it says, "And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel because they had done evil in his sight. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon." So he brings the Ammonites in, and Amalek, Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel and possessed the city of palm trees, which would have been Jericho. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. There it is. Now they're slaves of the Moabites and of Ammon and Amalek. And it says, and then here it is, verse 15. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up them a deliverer or savior, or this is the judge. And it says, his name was Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjaminite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. Now, this is, I looked up all of this again. The whole idea, because I've heard it preached that this guy had a crippled right hand, which I don't think you can bear this out because the way this vocabulary is used in Judges chapter 20, verse 16. I think a better rendering to this is to look at Ehud like he's a special forces guy, not that he's crippled, that he's ambidextrous. That's what I think this is talking about, and the Hebrew lends itself to that as well. So he's ambidextrous. In Judges chapter 20, verse 16, which I'm not going to go to, it talks about the Benjaminites, of which he is a Benjaminite, and he's left-handed, and they could sling a stone with their left hand. Now, most guys are right-handed, but they say that they had practiced so well that they could swing a sling with their left hand. All right, and were just right on target. I mean, they were sharpshooters, which is to say that they were skilled marksmen with a sling with their left hand, which lends itself not to the fact that all these left-handed guys in Benjamin that were slingers were crippled, but that they were ambidextrous. That's where you get this connection. And so we're talking about a warrior. And the other thing is, when you look through church history as he's evaluated, because it doesn't say a lot here about him, most of the ancient commentators on this, like I'm thinking of Jerome, think that he was young, that he's a young man, that he is like in the prime of his life. Look at a SEAL member, or somebody in the Army, the Rangers. That's who we're looking at here. This is Ehud, not some crippled guy that snuck in. Well, he's going to sneak in here, but this guy is fit for going undercover, getting through the gates. He's got a dagger, and because he's ambidextrous, the dagger is concealed on the other side where you would not expect it, and it's short, so you can hide it. All right? It's concealed carry is what he's got. He's armed with a dagger, but if you were looking for a dagger, you would expect the dagger to be on the left side so the right hand could pull it out. But because he's using his left hand, the dagger is on his right side, which is not as conspicuous. It's perfectly hidden. And that's what we read here in the next verse. It says, "But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges," which is what a dagger is. It's got an edge. It's edge on both sides. Not a knife that's only got an edge on one side. This cuts both ways, all right? and it's of a cubit length, which is it's only about this long. I mean, it's not a sword is the point. It's something that you can conceal. All right, a cubit roughly is about 18 inches, which is still quite a blade, but something that you can hide. That's the point. Now, I want you to remember, it says it's about a cubit long. So what do you got? You got maybe you got 6 inches on the handle and you got 12 inches on the blade. All right. You got 6 inches on the handle and you got 12 inches on the blade. That gives you your 18. I want you to keep that in your mind as we keep reading here, because this is crazy. And I want you to know here too, when I said that the book of Judges is full of all kinds of stuff, and I even poked fun at Baal worship when I talked about Elijah. I think I misspoke. I think I said Elisha. But when Elijah's on Mount Carmel and he makes fun of Baal because maybe Baal is in the bathroom, here it is again. There is reference here to Ehud or Eglon, the king, being in the bathroom so much that's just where people expected him to be. I just want you to know that this is in the Bible, and that's why you have to understand that there's a degree of humor built into the book of Judges, as horrible as it is. In Westminster, I had an Old Testament prof that said, and take this with a grain of salt, this is seminary, and it's not the church, so it's a bunch of seminarians, and we're learning all this detailed stuff, so what can we do to make it lighter? But he said, the book of Judges was written by the first Old Testament stand-up comedian. I still remember it because of what's in here. When you read this, you should say, I wonder why there's not another chapter to John. Tell me about the life of Christ. No, you get Judges chapter 3. So little deviation there, but let's keep going. So Ehud, the special forces guy who's ambidextrous, it says he's going to come and see Eglon, the king of the Moabites, from Israel with a gift, which is just tribute. So basically, he's come to pay the taxes. Okay, he's come to give Eglon taxes or some money. Okay, some reason for Eglon to see him. It says, he said, verse 16, but Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges of a cubit length, and he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. See, it's down here. It's on the other side. Not looking there. He says, and he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. And there you have it. Oh, who would call people fat? I love this stuff. The Holy Spirit. Yeah, he was fat. That's what the Bible says. All right. And I got to tell you too, something else. If you go over here in verse 29, I hope I get to it. It says that of the Moabites, they killed 10,000, all lusty men. Lusty? The root of the word lusty is large, fat, and stout. When you think of lusty, you might think of, strong, muscular, valiant. No, that's not what this Hebrew word means. It means large, fat, and stout. That is the Moabite army. There's 10,000 of them, but basically they're just big guys. And their king here is fat. So if you want to learn a verse, you could quote, it says, here's one we should memorize. And here it is in verse 17, Judges 3:17, and he brought a present unto Eglon of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. Not just fat. He was very fat. Okay, and now let's keep going on this, because this is important. I took a class at Calvin Seminary on the 7 deadly sins, one of the greatest classes I ever took. It was just amazing. The history of the tradition of the 7 deadly sins. And I wrote on envy, invidia, all right? But some of them wrote on gluttony, because gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. And this is the perfect Old Testament example of gluttony. He is very fat. And the reason he's very fat is because he is eating all the time. He eats and eats. Let's keep going. It says, and when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bear the present. Okay, so he must have had somebody come in with him to bring this tribute. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal and said, I have a secret errand unto thee. And the quarries are just reads from the mountains of Ephraim is essentially what this is about. He said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king, who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. So he says, I got a secret for you. The king says, wait, before you say it, everybody get out. And so he's standing there because, see, Eglon wants to hear the secret. This is crazy. Why would you do that? Why would you turn everybody out just to hear a secret? Because he's so secure in himself. He's just this kind of guy. He said, and Ehud came up to him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, listen to this. I have a message from God unto thee. And he rose out of his seat. So they were sitting. He says, Eglon, I got a message from God. He's going to walk over to Eglon now. So he stands up. And Ehud put forth his left hand. He reaches over with his left hand, took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. Wah! Only left hand. Pulled it out here. Wah! All right into King Eglon, because he just sent everybody out because he's going to whisper something in his ear from God. And so he gets up to whisper it, and on his way over, he pulls out that dagger and sticks him in the belly, this is not uncommon for warfare. There weren't weapons like guns. They were knives. And so he's got this dagger. He sticks it in the king, the judge that God raises up. And remember, he says, I have a message from the Lord here for you. Here's the message. Whack. Okay. He says, and the haft also went in after the blade. That is the part of it that shields your hand from slipping over onto the blade. He's got such a big belly that he goes in. The blade goes all the way in. He's so fat that the part that protects your hand also goes in. And the text is going to say that the haft is trapped in the fat and he can't get it out. It's crazy. Let's keep reading. You say, is this in the Bible? That's why you need to read the Bible. I mean, it should give you a light heart. All right. I mean, I know this guy Eglon is not a good guy. All right. They came in, and for 18 years, he's got his iron boot on the neck of Israel, treating them like slaves. And now God's raised up a judge. He's going to change the course of history here with the assassination of the Moabite king. And he says, and Ehud put forth his left hand, took the dagger from his right thigh, thrust it into his belly, and the haft also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade. The fat closed around the blade. He said, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out, which simply means that what was inside his intestines is starting to come out, all right? That it went into his belly, but his intestines are full of food. He is a very fat man, and the dagger went in. Now, you figure if the blade's this long, and then the haft, so he's got like 12 inches plus of a blade in the guy's belly. He can't get it out. I mean, you have to argue that there's something very comical about this, right? I mean, to think of all these details given by inspiration of God, all right? That this is part of the Christian tradition, all right? A story we should all know. He goes on, and he says, and the dirt came out, that is, his intestines were full of food, so everything that was inside him, digesting, is coming out. Then Ehud went forth from the porch, shut the doors of the parlor upon him, and locked him. So he shuts the doors, he jumps out the window, so to speak, goes out, and he's heading for the hills now because he's escaping. That's what this is about. When he was gone out, his servants came, and when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked. The parlor is where he would have relieved himself. This is where he goes to the bathroom. But the bathroom door was locked. And most of us, I would say, when you're in the bathroom, you lock the door, right? So somebody doesn't walk in on you. So Ehud or Eglon did the same thing. So he locks the doors. And because he is in the bathroom so much, because he eats so much and he's so fat, nobody interrupts him because he's in there all the time. This is more bathroom humor. Just like Elijah says, maybe Baal's in the bathroom. He said, these guys aren't going to go interrupt the king because he spends so much time in the bathroom sitting on the toilet because he's so fat. You got to read this. Let's keep going. He says, and when he was gone, let's see. It says verse 24. Here it is. When he was gone out, his servants came, and when he saw, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked. Okay, the bathroom door is locked. They said, this is what they said between themselves. Surely he covereth his feet, which is a gracious way of saying that he's in the bathroom. He's sitting on the toilet. He covereth his feet in his summer chamber. They do not want to interrupt the king while he's on the toilet. All right. I guess this is what good servants do, right? But he's in there too long now. Why? Because he's dead. But the fact he's always in the bathroom gives Ehud enough time to get away. It's crazy. A locked door in a bathroom, a guy that's always in there, gives you time to escape. That's what this is about. He says, and they tarried till they were ashamed. Like, oh, come on, he's been in there forever. We have to go check on him. I know we don't want to, it's the king, but we have to check on him. They tarried till they were ashamed. And it says, and behold, he openeth not the doors of the parlor. That is, they knocked. King, are you okay in there? But he didn't open the doors. Therefore, they took a key and opened them. That is, they unlocked the door because the king wasn't opening the door, and he wasn't saying, hey, just leave me alone or give me a minute. Nope, it's all quiet in there. He knocks on the door, and they said, well, something's going on. Then they opened the door with a key, and behold, their Lord was fallen down dead on the earth. And it does it say it here? No. With a knife stuck in its belly all the way up to the handle. I guess that would be some indication of what happened to you, right? So, and then it says this, and Ehud escaped while they tarried. And there it is. While they're waiting for him to get out of the bathroom, he gets away. And passed beyond the quarries, that is beyond the mountains of Ephraim, and escaped into Serath, which is basically just the name of a forest. It's wooded area. It's like it's Sherwood Forest. I mean, but that's in England. But you got the idea. He's going to a place to conceal himself. And it came to pass when he was come that he blew a trumpet in the mountains of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him from the mount, and he before them. He's rallying the army now. And he said unto them, follow after me. And this is what judges did. They need somebody to follow. They need a leader. I mean, he took it upon himself to kill the king. Now let's take care of the rest of these oppressors. All right. I don't know what people that misunderstand Romans 13 do with this, because they would say that Eglon, while he was in control of their country, was the just ruler by the providence of God. Isn't that what they would say? So Eglon is like the British, and Ehud is like George Washington, and the guys that shot the British soldiers. If you're going to use the Old Testament, I mean, by way of an example, but I mean, I know this is a theocracy, but Ehud had the right as a citizen of Israel, which is being occupied by the Moabites, just like the French and the British, and how the United States went over in the Second World War to drive Germany back to Germany. It's all the same idea, all right? Because this is not just law, this is tyranny. God is never behind tyranny. He does not support tyranny. He does not support tyranny. Government is there to do the will of God. So let's keep going. He says, so we got a leader here who's going to wipe out the Moabite incursion, killed the king, and now he's going to take care of the rest of them. And he says, he went down from the mount, and he said unto them, follow after me. And that's what leaders say, follow me, because he knows God's with him. He said, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him and took the fords. And now they're going to cross Jordan. They took the fords. So a ford is where the Jordan River is shallow, so they can get across it. All right, they took the ford. So here's where the army crosses of Jordan towards Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. It says, and they slew of the Moabites at that time about 10,000 men. They crossed the Jordan, and they kill of the Moabites 10,000, all lusty. And there's the word, lusty, large, fat, and stout, like their king. All men of valor. So these are big guys, but they are men of valor. And there escaped not a man. That is, they got them all. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 68 years. 80 years after this happened, there was peace. Now remember, with Othniel, there was 40 years of peace after they got rid of the Mesopotamian king. All right, now he gets rid of the Moabites, and now he's going to have 80 years of peace because of this. And for that time, as long as Ehud is alive, he's judging the land. He is serving as a judge. He's a roving governor. He's got control. He's got the hand of God on him. He's established himself here as a military leader, and he's going to judge the land. And it says in verse 31, and this is a whole separate story now. in your King James Bible, you see they put a little chapter division sign there in verse 31, because now we're going to have the third judge, and there's only one verse about him, but it is crucial. These little bits. Now, maybe we don't need this verse here and there. No, we need them all. We need them all. In verse 31, we're transitioning into a whole other judge now, just for one verse at the end of chapter 3, and I got to read a little bit of chapter 4 too. It says this, and after him was Shamgar. Here's another judge. Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, with a stick, a pointy stick. And he also delivered Israel. See, we have this reference here. So at the end of the rule of Ehud, you got Shamgar, who here again is taking it to the Philistines early on in the book of Judges. This is going to be a recurring theme, is the Philistines. They were a nation. They weren't rovers. They weren't nomads. They had these 5 major cities. Gaza is one of them. And they have a government, and they're advanced. They are able to smelt iron. Yeah, I mean, this isn't keeping with what we were talking about here with our left-handed Ehud, but when it comes to the Philistines, some thought, and this is all pure conjecture because they were so far advanced for that part of time, that if there was a place, an ancient place that actually existed called Atlantis or something like that, these are the people that came from there because they were so far advanced of everybody else as far as technology goes for the day. And yet it is these people that Shamgar defeats, that Samson's going to defeat at the end of this, and that David takes on. All right, these are the Philistines. They are really bad and powerful and structured. So here it is again, 600. And what kind of guy? This guy sounds a little bit like Samson, doesn't he? An ox goad, a pointy stick, something to keep the ox pulling the plow. He takes a pointy stick like a spear and kills 600 Philistines. Yeah. These guys are men. These are men's men. And then I got to just read this, beginning of chapter 4, verse 1. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. Don't die. Don't die, Moses. Don't die, Joshua. Don't die, Othniel. And don't die, Ehud, because as soon as you do, Israel just slips back into evil, and then they are trounced by some invading army. You see how this goes? Are you getting the flavor of the book of Judges? The roller coaster ride of the book of Judges, the humor, the content of the book of Judges, and there's more. There's lots more in here. All right. So anyway, I'll stop there this morning. I hope that put a smile on your face. You're saying, is that in the Bible? Yeah, I think you should read it if you're questioning, because I just read through my old King James Bible, Judges chapter 3, and what the Holy Spirit led whoever authored this to write is absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. There's so much more I can say about this because Eglon, this fat man, is a perfect example of a terrible sin, like terrible sin of gluttony. Gluttony. And when you look at the 7 deadly sins of gluttony, gluttony is not just eating too much. There's about, I should have got out my list, but they qualified all kinds of things because overeating is virtually always connected to another sin. It's almost always connected to another sin. Food in excess accompanies other sins, and drunkenness accompanies sins. There is this thing, and the reason that gluttony is so wicked is because it is food that sustains us, which is to say, it is God who grows the food that sustains us, and we are taking what God has given us to sustain us and misuse it and put it ahead of Him. Food can be put ahead of God, and it is, and that is where you get the sin of gluttony. The sin of gluttony also includes taking too much time preparing it, lingering too long at the table, eating it too fast. I'm thinking every time I said that, I'm thinking about how many times have I wolfed on a meal and haven't really appreciated it, knowing that it came from God. Then there's the actual eating too much of it. I can't remember. I think there's a couple more. But there's more to this because there can be an actual, you can be occupied with food. And this guy was. He's very fat. And then all the implications that came from it. All right. So Well, the Lord bless you. That's the second judge. This Green Beret, this SEAL team member of Israel who's left-handed, who comes in with this dagger that he made, concealed it on his right thigh, comes up and says, after he pays his tribute, says, I got a secret for you, gets out of his chair to whisper it in his ear and stabs him in the gut. Okay. Listen, you got to love the Bible. You got to love it. You got to appreciate it. I don't misuse this, but there's got to be some fun that you get out of learning these things. Remarkable things. All right. Well, the Lord bless you. You have a great day. All right. And Lord willing, I will see you tomorrow. And the next one we're going to look at here is Deborah. Deborah and Sisera and Barak and let me get down here. Jael. You know the story of Jael? There's only one judge in here, but I'll give the highlights of chapter 4. It's great. Okay, Lord bless you. For all the ladies out there, we're going to have a lesson on the theology of women. Okay, that's gonna be tomorrow. Okay, Lord bless you. We'll see you. Bye.